Well, hello, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Skeptics and Seekers, except this week it's SNS, and SNS stands for Superheroes and Supervillains. Welcome to the show. We have a host, a cast, a plethora, a cornucopia of characters. And we have, just looking at the panel, we've got Teddy the Bear, we've got David Russell, we have got Matthew the Brit, we've got Chase, John, Andrew. A
Yo,
little
yo.
bit later in the show, we're going to have a surprise visit by Randall Rowdy Rouser. And he is going to take up a position that he probably finds very painful to do. So that'll be fun. We're going to talk superheroes today. A few weeks ago, we talked sci-fi. It was a lot of fun. I got an email. From a guy because I said, we might have to do a superhero show. And I got this email out of the blue. He said, I don't know if you remember me, but I won't in. And then he threatened my family. And so say hello, John. So,
Hi.
I like the style, John.
So we're going to go ahead and get started. This show is going to last less than the 6 hours predicted. And so with no further ado, we're going to get into our introduction. We have some prepared statements. There are rules. There are rules to this thing. They've been written out. All the participants have the rules. There will be a gong if anyone steps outside of the rules, and possibly a gunshot. It's not a kid-friendly show. So here we go. I'm going to start. I'm going to begin with the opening statement. We're going to be answering some basic questions that we know the listeners are going to want to know, just to kind of set the table, to set the level, to let you know what kind of freaks we actually are. And so I'm going to begin by saying, in the great debate of DC versus Marvel, Marvel, baby, because I'm a good guy. And let's see, the thing that I like about superheroes, it's actually this. It's not the superpowers. It's not the ray guns. It's not the pew, pew, pew. It's not the fighting and slashing. It's not any of that. What I like about the superheroes is that when the time comes for a hero to be super, they rush toward the danger instead of away. And this applies for the superheroes who don't have powers, who don't have super suits. There are those heroes. And so my three favorite superheroes, Spider-Man at the top, yes, but Kick-Ass. I love Kick-Ass. First of all, I love Spider-Man because Spider-Man is a kid with a thing that happened to him, and he had to deal with that and still be a kid. A reminder that superheroes are people with lives. Kick-Ass, very close second, because Kick-Ass is a superhero who is not super and not much of a hero. He mostly got his ass kicked from time after time, but he was someone who had a passion to help people that were more pathetic even than him. And so he would go toward the danger instead of away from it. And third on the list, Daredevil, because blind guy, superhero, what's not to love? Go Daredevil, Hell's Kitchen. As far as my least favorite superheroes, Superman. Hate that guy. Rooting for Lex Luthor all the way. We don't need aliens from space to come and save us. Aliens with messiah complexes, and they're not even particularly good at their job. The only thing that Superman really cares about is Lois freaking Lane. Superman will let plenty of people die in Asia, but when Lois Lane gets hurt, he will literally move time to make it happen. Screw Superman. Batman. Glad he beat him. Also, Batman is a villain. Screw Batman too. I wish they had beaten each other to death. Batman is an amoral villain, and even his own people recognize that he goes too far. The Dark Knight is not the hero that anybody deserves. Third on the list, it's not just DC hate people. Iron Man. Screw Iron Man. You know what? Iron Man, he's just he's a sexist, megalomaniacal jerk with a suit. I was so glad, spoiler alert, so glad when he died. I
I haven't
applauded.
watched that yet.
Oh, that's too bad. Iron Man be dead. I spat on his grave. Let's see. So where are we at? Um, my favorite superpower. So this question was not specifically good power or villainous power. I will tell you my favorite superpower is mind control, because you don't actually need any other power if you have mind control. You can just make people do what you want. You don't have to smash through a wall. You don't have to y- just mind control, honestly. It's the power that ends all other powers as far as I'm concerned. The superpower that I wish I had, however, maybe not full on mind control, because here's the thing: full on mind control will make anyone a villain. And so I would like maybe a limited form of mind control. And the way I would use it is, when I see someone littering, I would just kind of enter their mind and make them say, "Oh, wait a minute, I think I will pick that up and put that in the trash can." That sort of thing. When I see someone being mean to their wife or their kids, I would just, do a little mind control. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to raise my voice. Here, let me buy you some flowers. The world would be a much better place if I had this power. So that's how I want to. If I had more power than that, though, I would be evil. Uh, uh, Villains. I will tell you, it's not even a close contest. I went through my Rolodex of villains from the time I was a kid. And I think the greatest villain ever conceived is Thanos. And the reason why Thanos is the greatest villain of all time is because he is not really a villain. He is the ultimate vigilante. Thanos is the guy who believes in something. He's passionate about something. He is extremely moral, and he will ignore all else to do the one thing that he thinks is right to do. And he obtains the power to do it. You can't stop a true believer very well. Um, Other villains are just villains. They just want money. They just want power. They just want all of these things for the sake of them. But a person who actually has a cause, a belief, and that belief is based in some sense of morality, and that becomes all-consuming. That clears the way for supervillainy, and I think that Thanos fits that category. So uh, I got a few of these. My favorite line from a movie, TV, or comic book. I'm going to play a few sound bites here because they are fantastic. And so let me set this up. Uh, I've got five. Everyone else, you get one. I'm sorry. Life isn't fair. But if I had mind control powers, I would get into your mind and make you think, "Oh yeah, that's fair." And so my first one, my first, my first. Well, I can cut them down a little bit. Okay. Okay. The Green Goblin in comics. I don't think this was ever on a TV show, but in one of the Spider-Man comics, I don't remember the name or the edition or anything like that, but I happened to see it while browsing someone else's collection. He made this statement that stuck in my mind for some odd reason. He's flying on his little rocket, and he says, "A man with wings can do anything, but a man with a rocket can do everything." So, um, fantastic comic book line, well delivered in my mind. But I think that this one that I'm going to play for you is particularly impactful. Take a listen. Kneel before me. I said.
Is not this simpler? Is this not your natural state? It's the unspoken truth of humanity that you crave subjugation. The bright lure of freedom diminishes your life's joy in a mad scramble for power, for identity. You were made to be ruled. In the end, you will always kneel.
The man stands up.
Not to men like you. There are no men like me. There are always men like you.
That was one of the great moments of villainy and heroism put together. I think that in this moment, this was Loki, by the way. I don't actually remember which movie this was. And so if you recognize the movie and the scene, please let me know which one that is, because I think this is one of the rare MCU
First Avengers,
movies.
I believe.
I never saw the first Avengers. So so this one is impactful to me, because I think that there is so much truth in what Loki says, that we as a species do in fact want to kneel, want to subjugate. And I know that seems to go against our independent spirit. But allow me to get religious for a moment in this brief moment of skeptics and seekers. That is exactly what a God demands of us. And when there are no gods, we invent gods, because at the end of the day, we get this type of existential crisis if we think that we're really all there is. And so we do look for strong men to get behind, or strong gods or spirits to kneel to. And it's a troubling idea. And I simply never inherited that particular desire to kneel, but I've been surrounded by it all my life. Going back to the Green Goblin asked one of his henchmen. This wasn't the Green Goblin, I'm sorry, this is Skeletor. Skeletor. One of his henchmen in a conversation he had with Skeletor said, "I didn't know that," to which Skeletor replied,
I could write a book about what you don't know.
it's one of my favorite supervillain lines of all time, and I will round this out by, I think, my favorite line in a movie of all time. Probably any movie, superhero or otherwise. Let's see if I've got the place. I do not have the right place.
I'm Spider-Man. I'm not the only one.
I'm just gonna rewind that. I'm just going to rewind that to the spot. This is close enough.
I'm not be able to do any of this stuff, but I can. Anyone can wear the mask. You could wear the mask. If you didn't know that before, I hope you do now.
And that is my favorite line in a superhero movie, book, TV show, or otherwise. Anyone can wear the mask. Under the right circumstances, I would be Thanos, because at times I do have bursts of moral opinionatedness. And if I had the power, there are times when I would probably take that moral instinct too far. On this panel, what person would I least like to have a superpower? That's easy for me, actually, when I put this panel together. John. I would never let John have a superpower. Why? Because John would out Thanos. John has a greater sense of morality than a lot of us, as far as his idea of what is right. And it's an idea that is not necessarily popular. It's not necessarily something that the population would go with, but he believes it's right. And if he could snap his fingers and make it happen, I think he would. Therefore, I'm not letting him anywhere near the magic gauntlet, the superpower that, if it existed, I would make sure we stamped out at all cost, would be mind reading. I would simply murder them all. I don't think that I would be able to manage it, though, because they could see me coming a mile away because they're mind readers. But that's part of the problem, isn't it? So that is me in a very thick nutshell. I expect the rest of you to take half the time that I did. Andrew, show them how a proper opening is done.
Okay, well, I don't have the entire list of questions in front of me. I'm working from my phone screen, so
If you like, you can listen to a few other people do it, because I know that you don't have that list. I will let you pass the baton to whoever you like, and you can go last.
okay. I will pass the baton. I will pass it to John because you called him out directly. So
Not the only
seems
time.
John seems fair to let you go next.
All right. Thank you. And yes, you are. Can you hear me? Good. Yeah.
Yes.
So yes, you are right. I would out Thanos. He's one of my favorites, but not my top. Um, so I am new to all of you guys probably. John Livingston. I have my own podcast, Angry Black Rant Z, where I first met David. Uh, in our discussion about police and all. That's yeah. But to answer the questions, Marvel, of course, because DC just sucks. Everything about it for the most part. Um, what I what I like most about superheroes, or the superhero world at least, is that in the superhero worlds, anyone can become a superhero. Science experiment gone wrong, born the right or wrong way, fall into a vat of acid. Anybody, anybody can be better than they are just by an accident. I like that. It's better than this world that we're stuck in right now, in that sense. And once you become that superhero or supervillain, as the case may be, you have the power to affect change almost single-handedly, as opposed to building coalitions and doing this the right way or blah blah blah. You have the power to do what you want to do, and I like that. Um, my three favorite heroes would be the Hulk, Ghost Rider, and eh, probably Blade. And all for similar reasons. The Hulk, all he wants to do is be with his girl and be left the hell alone. Everything that happens bad with the Hulk is because people are messing with him. He's not bothering anybody else, but someone comes and messes with him or his girl, he goes on a rampage until the situation is rectified. I like that. Ghost Rider, because again, no team, no nothing. His entire job is to mete out vengeance. He's the ultimate vigilante. He doesn't care about your reasonings. You did something wrong, he's going to find you, he's going to kill you, or make you pay one way or the other, and that's about it. Blade, pretty much the same thing, but only if you're a vampire. My three least favorite heroes are Spider-Man, specifically Peter
Oh,
Parker's Spider-Man. I
no.
detest Peter Parker. I like Miles Morales. I like the Spider villains. I detest Peter Parker Spider-Man.
How do you shut this thing off?
Superman. uh,
Come on.
Superman, for the same reasons that David mentioned there. He's just, I just don't like him. And as a superhero, I don't like Professor X. I think that he is and always has been a supervillain and an excellent supervillain. But as a superhero, he sucks, just backwards and forwards. Um, the superpower my favorite superpower is also the superpower I wish I had, which would be the phasing that Kitty Pryde Shadow Cat has, where she can essentially turn invisible and move through objects. She has perfected it over the years to the point where she can essentially teleport from one place to the other by just phasing through the earth, which is fucking cool. Um, let's see here. My favorite villain is Doctor Doom. My favorite supervillain is Doctor Doom because I think he out Thanos as well. He has he has um he's the epitome of supervillain. He is a super scientist, super intelligent. He's in the top 10 of the strongest magic users. He owns his own country. He has a seat on the UN. He's got diplomatic immunity, so whenever he goes somewhere and does something, he's golden. I mean, he's living the supervillain dream there. Uh, he's only really got one downfall, which is pride, and I can live with that. Um, my favorite lines from a superhero movie, TV show, book, or comic is Blade, specifically Wesley Snipes' Blade in the first one, where he says some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill. It just it just encompasses what so many people are doing. Why do it the hard way? You can do it that way, but why? you know? Um, under the right super circumstances, I would probably most likely be either Thanos or Doom, but probably Doom since he was able to beat Thanos a couple of times and steal the Infinity Gauntlet more than Thanos did. Um, person on this panel would least like to have a superpower, that would be the teddy bear, hands down. Because I mean, believing in imaginary creatures, your morality is already kind of iffy on my end. You'd make a great supervillain, but if I had my druthers. Um, if humans started mutating superpowers, which would you start a crusade against? None, actually. I believe that Magneto was right, and that Homo sapiens superior would be the next stage in evolution, even if it does mean that us normies would be wiped off the face. Oh well.
Thank you, John, for explaining why you were the person that I would never allow to have a superpower. Right? So
Oh man.
It sounds like Teddy was called out to be next. Teddy, are you gonna just take that silently?
No,
you're
I'm
not.
not going to take that. And first of all, let's have a correction here. It's Teddy the bear.
Like Fozzie the bear.
No,
Right.
Teddy the bear.
I like teddy bear better.
Not Teddy bear, Teddy the bear. And David, you dubbed me that, so you knew what you were doing. All right, so DC or Marvel. Now, just a little background here. I mean, when I was a kid, I was watching all this.
It's a simple question, Teddy. This is not it's these.
I don't know all the newfangled comic book heroes, and I haven't watched the Avengers, so there's a lot of them that I don't really know anything about. So I'm going kind of old school here. But a DC for sure. And what I like about what I love about superheroes is that they are fighting evil and they are bringing about justice, and I love that. And perhaps that's why, in terms of what I prefer, I do like the idea of vigilantes if they are vigilantes that have good judgment and good sense. Now, of course, with our laws, there's a certain amount of stuff that you can't do that a vigilante might want to do that might not be so okay under the law. But in terms of just in my heart of hearts, I think that when you see something going wrong and somebody doing wrong, and you've got the power and the ability to stop it and to do right and then to punish that person, hey, I am all for that. And that's what superheroes do. Well, sometimes superheroes then will take the villain and hand them over to the authorities. But, I'd take it a step further. If I was the one deciding what to do, and if I could magically make all vigilantes adhere to what the God of Christianity says is right and wrong. But, that's impossible. So it becomes a little dicey. But in terms of my 3 favorite superheroes, I'm going to kind of push the envelope a little bit here. And it's not going to be the typical, unitard wearing superhero, but I love Severus Snape. And I think that he is a superhero in that he's got these abilities, with his wand. What
that could go so horribly wrong in so many ways.
What?
A magician.
Just give me a moment, okay? I just gotta get past that.
Does he wave it about much?
No, it's
I'm trying to get past this.
it's made of the wrong kind of wood to wave around.
What? Look, I've got Voldemort here too. So.
Wait a minute, do you have Voldemort in the hero category?
No, I don't. I just want
Because I can go with you on Snape, but if you're calling Voldemort a hero, I am cutting you off right now.
You've got really good wand action, Teddy.
Here is what is special about Severus Snape and why he is my very favorite. And do I need to make the argument as to why he's a superhero?
No, but I'm interested. Go ahead.
Interested in the argument for why, or why I like.
You're able. I'm interested in the pick. I think it's a. Can I say a ballsy pick?
Yeah. Well, an ova pick. Very ova pick. So what is special about Severus Snape is that he, out of a sense of love, will do all that he can to protect Harry Potter because he loved his mother. And he was also, in doing so, protecting the whole wizarding world, of course, and humanity. But he was doing it, and everybody thought he was the bad guy. And so he was willing to look bad, to look like an evildoer. I mean, for crying out loud, he let everybody think that he murdered Dumbledore. And he was willing to do that. That is just sacrifice. And he was willing to do that in order to do the right thing. And so, whereas the typical heroes, they get all of the attaboys from everyone, and they get the glory of it. But poor old Severus Snape, he didn't get anything, at least not while he was alive. He was recognized afterwards and for what he did. But that just, to me, elevates him above all the other superheroes. And he may not be as flashy and as everybody else, and he may have been in really bad need of a haircut, maybe a better type of haircut, but I like him. And now I also, I think Harry Potter is a great superhero too, and in a very regular sort of way. I mean, he's got the wand, but I
I think you just killed John. You
I
just killed my feelings back.
think that Harry Potter, I love that he will just stop at nothing.
I'm dead.
And even though he doesn't have these incredible powers, because I love Superman too, but he doesn't have beyond what every other wizard has. He doesn't have these superhuman abilities or super wizard abilities, but he's just dogged in his determination to do what's right and to care about his friends and to care about all of humanity, and he just doesn't let anything stop him. Now, of course,
That's why Ron Weasley is better than
the
Potter,
what?
because Weasley, he was not only not famous, but he had the same not power, but he had the will to walk into danger and stand up for what was right, and he was even had the balls to stand up against Harry Potter when it was necessary. So I was with you with
Which one are
Snape,
you talking
but
about?
then you went
The other
downhill.
guy.
Weasley, Potter's friend, that's the
No,
hero.
the
That's the
kid that stood up against Harry
I
though
would even
was
argue
Neville
Hermione might be
Longbottom.
the hero of them
Yeah.
all because she's the brainiac that got them all going that way.
And then Albus Dumbledore told him something to the effect of how, it's great to stand up to your enemies, but it's even more difficult, or it's difficult to stand up to your enemies, but it's even more difficult to stand up to your friends. And I do love that line. But in terms of just your classic superheroes, of course, I loved Linda Carter as Wonder Woman, as well as the cartoon Wonder Woman in the Super Friends. So she's pretty awesome, and of Greek heritage, I might add. So that's an extra bonus for her. But as in Wonder Woman, not Linda Carter. But so I think Wonder Woman's cool. I mean, she hears people in need. She gets in her invisible jet, and there she is, and she's got the bracelets and the lasso of truth. So I think she's pretty cool. I haven't seen the new versions of Wonder Woman, so don't know. In terms of
it's awesome. You'd love it.
is it? But I heard I read somewhere that she was carrying a teddy bear off to war or something. Can that be true? Is that possible?
I don't remember a teddy bear.
She was just trying to channel me, but
But I'm with you with Linda Carter. Linda Carter's Wonder Woman. She almost made my list, but she didn't.
least favorite superheroes. I mean, Robin. Come on, second rate. Captain Marvel. Just when I was a kid growing up, the Shazam dude. I mean, he's just. I didn't care for that show. Wasn't into it. The Flash. I mean, what's the thing with the little thingy sticking off of his head? I don't know.
Make fun of
I
Justice
don't.
League members.
The
You're going
what?
too far. You're going too far
hurts so
making fun of
much.
Justice League members.
Look, I love
Did she choose
the
DC
favorite.
too?
The thing that Flash says is when he's called into battle is all I do is run fast and push people.
It's like I don't know enough about the most of the Marvel characters to bash them, so I had to kind of go with what I knew. My favorite superpower, I think, would be telekinesis. Because I would really love, like, when somebody's doing wrong, to like have them just punched in the face or something. Not necessarily deadly, but just when somebody's just doing something just really, really wrong, and they need a bit of a comeuppance, then if they could just bam or whatever, maybe it needs to be more. I mean, with Hitler, I'd get rid of him.
I get rid of him. What do you mean exactly? I'm just curious.
She meant throw him in the
Talking
sun.
through his insanity.
Hitler. Death
Yeah.
to dictators. Death to dictators. Especially evil dictators.
Not
so,
the good ones, like the one we.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I now I am going to. Okay, now your mind control, David. That was really good, but I've got one better. And I have the alder wand here, invincibility. Invincibility is the superpower that I would most want. My favorite villain and why? I mean, goodness. The Wicked Witch of the West. Come on. Got
Where
the
are we?
flying
Oh.
monkeys, people. She's got the flying monkeys. She's got that cool crystal ball that she could
No.
see Auntie M in, and it's like,
No.
come back.
No.
Yeah.
No.
She can turn a field of poppies into a Schedule 1.
You're not making any converts here.
Honestly, she might be a contestant with Doctor
I
Strange,
mean,
guys.
that's cool. How many people did not even get that reference? She turned that poppy into opium, people. I mean,
That's just what poppies are.
that's pretty cool. I mean, you gotta give your proper respect to the wicked old witch of the
I
West.
do not. Uh,
Put down the wand, step slowly away.
Yeah. My favorite line from a hero movie, and again, I do love my Harry Potter movies. There's so many of. I mean, I'll tell you. I think that the fantastic philosophical lines that come from the Harry Potter movies are just, there's so many of them, but one of them that I love is from Dumbledore, and it says, "It is our choices, Harry, that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities." And then also another one from Dumbledore: "Dark and difficult times lie ahead. Soon we must all face the choice between what is right and what is easy." And another one from Dumbledore, of course: "Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if only one remembers to turn on the light." And I just think that that's really, really beautiful. Oh, and then one more: Sirius Black. We've all got both light and darkness inside us. What really matters is the part we choose to act on. That's who we really are. And so those are lines that just really speak to me. Under the right circumstances, what villain would you most likely be most
I'm guessing
like?
it's not the Wicked Witch.
Now, I had to really think about that because I'm actually really nice. I don't do villainous things, but I guess if truth be told, I could see a little bit of Dolores Umbridge coursing through my veins. I must have order.
I know who that is now.
Dolores Umbridge in the pink, I mean, she's a bad guy. I mean, in the Harry Potter movies, but and she goes too far, and she's not doing right. But in terms of just that need to impose order in her, it's like, well, okay, there's some Teddy going on in that. What person on the panel would I least like to have a superpower? And unfortunately, that person is not with us. He bailed out because of a walk. But Darren, who was supposed to be on the show,
He's not even here. And he's not even here.
He's your secret crush, isn't he, Teddy? That's what this is.
Okay, so true story. I had a joke about well, Teddy. I had a joke at you and Darren's expense because I knew that the two of you most often ended up with, at crossed purposes, and I intended to pick both you and Darren. He would be Dr. Digital, and and I was going to warn you two not to go off into the corner and make little superhero babies because we didn't need a superhero baby whose magical power was oops. So, I knew you would pick Darren. It's too bad he's not here.
Do you
Because
want to hear why?
yes,
Well, there are many reasons why we would pick Darren, but what's yours?
The reason why is because he would force with his whatever superpower he had, that man would force us all to talk in freaking syllogisms. And then I would find that completely repugnant. And so, I'm like, I just don't get that. Give me a syllogism. And Brian with the Y is big on that too. I'm like, just make your case.
Also, another person not here, thrown under the bus. Thrown under the bus.
Anyway, that's okay. We throw people under the bus. This is skeptics and seekers after all, right? I mean, come on now.
Called her a bear
Not
for
even
a reason,
here.
David.
No, that makes it even simpler. I don't have to hear a response.
wow.
So your last one, the superpower that you would stomp out, had you the opportunity.
Oh, yes. Is that what I wrote down there? And I guess that would be invincibility.
I see.
Good luck.
If I didn't have it.
If
I
you
didn't,
were, right, okay.
I didn't have
Um,
it. Because you got to be able to, to knock somebody out. Even Superman has his kryptonite.
What does it mean to be invincible?
Mhm.
What
Well,
does
I
it
mean,
mean to
like
be
nobody
invincible?
can beat you. It's
well, then you
how
couldn't really stamp that power out.
what I'm saying.
He is invincible.
But what I'm saying is that if we can magically make it or not have anybody with that power,
I
that would be
understand.
the power that I would want no one to have.
But of
Well,
course, you'd be
other than me.
immune from the magic, so you couldn't do it.
The person I can get rid of
Chase, I'm
invincibility,
saving you
I'd be
for
military.
last. Let's go with the Brit and then the man in the middle, and then Chase. The Brit, I'm counting on you to make this very compressed.
It will be compressed, but you might want to disqualify some of my options. Right, okay. This is your super. You know what? I can't even tell the difference between them. I don't know who's who. So, nah. What do I like about superheroes? They're different. They're unique. They're usually flawed characters. That's probably the bit I like about them the most. 3 favorite heroes. Okay, I wrote down 6, but I know you're going to cross off at least 4 of them. So I'm going to pick the bottom 3. Blade, awesome. Desperate Dan, fabulous. And for my British people, Banana Man. Banana Man is the greatest superhero in the world
That sounds
ever.
like a fire.
Does he also have a wand? I'm just curious.
No,
Dating Teddy's
He
superhero.
does
yes.
not. He does not have a wand. He has a very special
Oh,
coloured
man.
superhero suit, and his disguise is a schoolboy. Look, if you're not British, you don't know how important Banana Man is when it
Great
comes to saving
comfort
the
is a
world.
superhero.
Awesome.
So absolutely,
Banana Man.
go on,
He's
just
raising potassium
type it
wherever
there
he
into your
goes.
Google. You guys are just so uncultured. Here you are, living in Disney, living in Marvel. There is a world out there of British superheroes you just haven't exposed yourself to.
I swear.
So there we go.
I can't wait to see him fight Captain Cucumber. I mean,
Do they have a crossover with the VeggieTales?
Banana Man would squash the Bestie Tales. I tell you this right now. There you go.
Oh, well, that's an impressive
King of
recommendation.
Bruises
We'll all
here.
go look him up right now.
It's not in the
Can't
name,
mix up,
it's what
people.
it does. So anyway, least favorite superheroes, Hulk. Thing. The guy's just too thick to be useful. And Captain America, he's just an arrogant piece of shit. He's too busy looking in the mirror to actually be useful.
Says Brigadier Britt. I mean, that was...
my favorite superpower, invisibility, because they can't see you coming. The one I'd like to have, though, is mind reading. I think that would be extremely useful. My favorite villains.
One to go, my friend.
Yeah, my favorite villains, Harley Quinn and Lex Luthor, because I just do like them. And then you're probably going to disqualify this one, but I really like the T2000. But you're probably going to disqualify that one, but I don't care.
I know what that is.
It's from
Arnold Schwarzenegger from
Terminator, the T2000, the fluid metal robot thing.
Oh no, that counts. Sure.
Okay, good, excellent. And my favorite quote, because I had to get it in there, is from Doctor Who, and it's "Good men don't need rules."
That seems wrong.
Sorry, you were supposed to bring superhero quotes to the show.
Yeah, well, you got one. Tough dude, man. And
was it Banana Man's? This is a part of a nutritious and well-balanced breakfast.
Yes, it absolutely was. As long as you put it in a shake. Under the right circumstances, what villain would I most likely be? Well, Lex Luthor, because technology, dude. Who would on the panel would I least like to have a superpower? The only person on the panel that scares me, Teddy. And if humans started mutating superpowers, which one would I crusade against? Invisibility. There you go.
Okay, we've got a couple of self-haters. Russell.
All right, DC or Marvel. Let's roll. I like them both, honestly, equally. If I had to choose at the end of the day, I would choose DC because Superman is my favorite. My story kind of starts with Superman. My earliest memories is my dad setting me in front of the TV and watching the black and white George Reeves Superman. So that kind of kick-started my whole trek into superheroes. As I grew up, I got into X-Men. And Wolverine was one of my favorite. And I got into X-Men because my dad was an X-Men fan, and he gave me a very early 1970s comic of the Uncanny X-Men. And I read that, and I started collecting the cards and looking at the different powers and stuff. And so I do have an affinity for Marvel in that way. So if there's both, I would choose DC over Marvel, but I do love me some Silver Surfer and Wolverine. So those are my.
Wolverine is a damaged psychopath, right?
He is. That brings me to the second point. What do I like about him? I like the character development. I like all that stuff about the comics and stuff, and watching the characters progress and face different challenges and stuff like that. But my top three would be Superman, Batman, Silver Surfer, and my fourth would be Wolverine. So I like them all about the same. I did throw a fourth in there.
Also Math Man, who can help you with the concept of top three. But anyway.
Well, two of them were like, two of them had to have been like half of a guy, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but like my least favorite, I would have to say I really don't like Deadshot. I really don't like Deathstroke, just because he's awesome, but I don't like him because he always comes back. You know what I mean?
That's his ability
and
to
causes
come back.
more problem, right? Causes more problems.
He's the anti-Batman.
My absolute least favorite villain would probably have to be. This is a hard one, but Dr. Octopus. Sorry, I don't like him. My favorite superpower, Superman's ability. I love his abilities, man. I've always had flying. He's pretty much invincible. Kryptonite's his only weakness. He gets his power from the sun. Cool stuff like that.
He's also stupid.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is, because he's like, this lead building here. I can't see through the lead building. Let me just open the door. Oh God, it's kryptonite. How could I have seen that coming?
All right. Well,
Anyway,
you
go
go ahead,
I'm
but
sorry.
but he's a lot smarter, especially as his character develops.
No regard for physics and
My
just
favorite,
lines.
I'm
the
opening that
superpower I wish
box.
I had. The superpower I wish I had. I would like the absorbent ability, where a hero can absorb other people's abilities, so that way you can try them all.
Or
My favorite
Sylar.
villain. Now, my favorite villain is by hands down Joker. If I'm gonna be bad, I'm going completely psychopath. I'm gonna bring you mayhem for no reason. I'm gonna bring you evil beyond description. I'm gonna have no moral compass. If I'm gonna go
Yahweh.
bad, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it right. I'm gonna go totally evil, and I'm gonna be the worst I can be, and for no reason. And I'm gonna be very smart in how I do it. So that's one of the concepts I love about Heath Ledger's
That
Joker
cuts
is
out
he had
Yahweh.
he of course if I'm going that way, I mean there is no serving God at that point. There's just evil. If I'm gonna be a child of wrath, I'm gonna make sure that wrath is full. Yeah, make that cup is gonna be overflowing. But yeah. So Joker would be my go-to. As far as the best my favorite actual movie quote that I like the most, and this is funny, it comes from Joker. He says, "Bob Gunn," and then shoots Bob. That's it. I remembered that line. I've remembered that line ever since I saw that in the theaters when I was young, and it stuck with me. So it's my favorite line.
Yeah, that one redeems half of your picks. Because that was a good line.
Under the right circumstances, what villain would you like? Okay, that would be Joker. I would go all out. What person on the panel would you least like to have a superpower? David Johnson, because he would end up
Sorry.
Thanos. He
Excuse
would
me.
Thanos the entire world. He would
That's
Thanos the
wrong.
entire world.
This is-
What?
Okay, I'm sorry. Look, that was wrong. And Andrew, what you are missing is that John has a full head Joker mask face going on, and it doesn't work with his complexion. It doesn't work with his
Foundation.
size. It doesn't work with anything. It's surreal and creepy and wrong. And so
Yeah, but
I
David, I wouldn't let you have a superpower. I would think because you already sound like a Billy Butcher to me from The Boys. You just you would Thanos everybody eventually because you wouldn't want anybody to rival you, and you'd want the world to be as you want it to be. So so you would make it your way.
fair.
And everybody else, as they say, be damned. If humans started mutating superpowers, which power would you start a crusade against? I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to side with John here. If people start mutating and getting powers, they're the next step in evolution. So at that rate, I don't think there's anything I would try to stomp out.
Chase,
Unless
what
they
are the
killed a
kids?
family member, then I'd go
What are,
after that particular.
Hey,
hero.
David, do you want me to go through these before you hand that to Chase?
But guys, I do gotta leave. The wife is wanting me to do some stuff, and I'm a little under the weather as it is, so I'm gonna take this time to bow out, gentlemen.
hey, get better.
Feel better, please.
Feel better.
Yeah, get well soon, dude.
Okay, Andrew, you think you can do it?
Yeah, I got the list here.
Okay.
Can I just mention something real quick?
Here you
On
go.
number 9,
Mhm.
did I misread it, or I think there's a little bit of a typo? I'm not sure what it is. I thought the question is, what it says, under the right circumstances, what villain would you most likely be most like? So like,
Yeah, that's very awkward
terms
wording. I'm firing my secretary. But you get the idea of the question.
I haven't heard anybody address that. They were saying like who they would want to be, but they weren't saying who fits their personality, and in terms of like what personality defects we have that emulates a villain. That's how I took it. Was that how you meant it?
Sure. Did you want to go further into your personality defects? Do you have some that we don't know about?
Is this going to involve more wand exploration? I'm just curious.
You've got a fixation on wands.
We're guys.
I think that's wand envy.
You did wander into the sausage factory, but I tell you what, we'll get back to your observation after Andrew goes through the list. We'll let Chase close it out. Andrew, you've got 30 seconds. Go.
Yeah, right. Let me know when we get there. DC or Marvel? Vastly prefer the DC universe. I think it's much more well put together than the Marvel universe, but I think I probably prefer Marvel superheroes. So I like any comic where the two worlds meet. What do I like about the superhero genre? I think it's a great way to explore human dilemmas, especially those ethical dilemmas. And probably if we thought about it, in exploring, superhero lore when we were kids, we got to think a lot about the sorts of ethical dilemmas that we face, and we got to think about what we would do if we were faced with those problems in the real world without a superhero around. So I think it's an informative and pretty educational world. My three favorite heroes. The first one is off-label. He's not in a comic book. He's actually in a set of novels written by Drew Hayes called Superpowered. That first character's name is Vince. And if you folks have not read the Superpowered books by Drew Hayes, you should definitely go off and read them. I think my second favorite superhero was probably the Hulk. He's just this guy who gets mad and he becomes a berserker, and I sort of identify. Somebody's laughing. Yeah, David, if you're laughing because you sort of remember me as a kid. Yeah.
No, I remember you from like yesterday. This is who you are.
Yeah. So no, I sort of identify with the Hulk, and so I think that's fantastic. My third favorite superhero is probably Xavier. I also identify with superheroes who want to spend their time learning. My three least favorite, or my three least favorite super villains, are all really a category of villain. I think quite often, especially in TV shows, which we all watched as kids, the sort of He-Man and Super Friends and all that sort of thing. My least favorite villains were the idiot villains. Sometimes the plot was resolved just because the bad guy did something hapless, and I hated those. And any villain that lost just because he was an idiot, I think that doesn't do justice to the superhero universe, and I hated them all. My favorite superpower. David Russell and I agree. I'll add one thing to it. I like the idea of theft of superpowers. I think if I were going to write something where there was a superhero with that kind of power, it would be with the modification that not only could the superhero steal superpowers. Seems funny to call him a hero while he's a thief, right? But I'd also add stacking. So steal a superpower, and the next one that he steals would not replace the first one, but be kept. So I think that would be the ultimate superpower.
Don't all superheroes who do that eventually blow up because it's too much power?
Not when I use my keyboard.
Crazy.
I don't know.
I say you're Sylar.
Right. So is that some British?
No, that's from the TV show Heroes.
Heroes, yes.
By the way,
I recognize.
Best, right. Well done. Best line in.
Don't say
best
it.
Line. Yes.
Don't say it.
Yes. Save the cheerleader, save the world. That's
You're fired. You're absolutely fired.
I love that.
Like, I mean, you guys are trying to all go serious on this thing, right?
Why
I'm
so
just-
serious?
I'm just saying, save the cheerleader, save the world. Why not? That's what the superhero universe ought to be about. Let's see, where does that get us to? Does that get us to number 6?
What's she cheering for, though?
You had to see it.
You had to.
There's a context, stupid, but it was probably one of the most popular lines of an entire television season. Save the cheerleader, save the world. I fire myself for repeating it. Go ahead, Andrew.
Okay, where was I? Where does that get us to? Number 6, is that right? Superpower.
It gets you to.
Yeah, the superpower I wish you stop. Superpower I wish I had would actually be theft of superpowers with the ability to stack them. My favorite villain is definitely Magneto. Like I said, I identify with the sort of character that wants to that takes on a cause, right? So Magneto's a villain, but he's got a reason for being a villain, and so I like that. That gets us to number 8. What is that? Favorite line from a movie? I don't actually have one, so we'll skip by number 8. Under the right circumstances, which villain would I most be like? Oh, that's a tough one. Matthew, what villain would I most be like?
You most
The
look
Weeping
like
Angels.
Luthor.
Who? Is that like Banana Man's?
No, that's a Doctor Who.
What person on the panel would I least like to have a superpower? I think anyone who's likely to use it. Anyone who's likely to use it. There's that old saw about in the nuclear world, the real enemy is war itself. In the superhero universe, the real enemy is power itself. We can't survive a universe of superheroes as mortals. And the idea that we could establish anything like a society in a universe where the main characters are so overpowered that they can destroy buildings, just by throwing each other through them, but they suffer no harm. That's the real problem. The problem would be any use of superpowers, and so whichever one of you is likely to use it, you're the person I least want to have it. What is the last one?
Yeah, I'm out there too. I'd use it right now.
Yeah. Look, go play with your
Time
wand.
dilation.
Go play with your wand.
Oh, Dave, you wouldn't have much of a podcast if you
What is the last question, guys? Who's got the list?
Yeah.
Which
It's human
superpower
stuff.
would you stomp out?
Yeah, which it sounds like all of them.
Yes.
But is there one in particular?
Dave, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you on mind reading. I don't think that maybe in some sense is not the worst superpower. but it is definitely the most invasive. And I would not like to find myself in a universe like 1984, where we do have thought police. How often do we need to? How often do we need to exercise our own internal demons in order to come to a decision that we can make palatable to the people around? How often do we have our own dark thoughts that we don't act on, right? But it's some sort of catharsis for us. And mind readers, you know, would you, for instance, preempt every person that thought about robbing a bank? Would you preempt every person who thought about going out and striking the person that they're most mad at? That is a dark universe indeed. And I don't see any way to think that mind reading where we can sort of preempt some sort of crime is actually a good universe, because I think we all face a sort of Jungian self on the inside. We all have a dark side, and most of us are very, very productive people. Even so, mind power, that one's got to go.
All right, Chase, make it worth it.
All right. So as far as favorite, DC or Marvel, Marvel just they make better power concepts. Don't get me wrong, DC has some good things in there, but just even when Marvel touches or as I've seen sometimes steal the same concept, they just do it better. But don't get me wrong, I love the storytelling in DC. They do a good job with that, I gotta admit. What I like about superheroes is just that they've opened us to the world of superpowers, and that's just it's always been the best conversation of what if, or like the hardest challenges, or just understanding or quantifying certain powers or certain concepts within a power. Three favorite heroes. So my three favorite heroes would have to be Spider-Man, Spawn, and Static Shock, actually. So Spider-Man, because I just grew up loving him. He looks great. His wittiness is amazing. His move, like just the way he fights is great. Just how agile, always been like a thing for me in heroes. And then as far as Spawn. Spawn is great because not only is he a spawn of hell, but he went the extra step and said, "I'm going to take down hell and take down heaven." And like he's the only hero that I know of that's written to do both of those things. And then Static Shock, just I don't know how you could not like just a young black kid growing up to be like the ideal beginning superhero. Like that was our Black Spider-Man before Miles Morales to me. So love him. So as far as my favorite superpower, I'm probably would have to say technokinesis, which is just the ability to talk to technology. It's amazing. Like you literally have the power to advance technology to the point for human beings of greatness. Awesome. Superpower I wish I had. It actually probably would be that, because I would like to advance technology to its greatest point myself, or just to be able to look at the technology I have here in front of me and just either advance it or be able to fix it by like being able to communicate with it myself.
So you would use your greatest power to be a glorified IT guy? I mean, that's what you fantasize about. I mean, this is what superheroism has come to.
IT is cool. Don't diss the IT guy.
I'm gonna fix that
you
printer
needed an
just
IT
by
guy
looking
about an
at
hour
him.
ago.
Oh, all right. That's not fair. I'll allow it, but go ahead. That's fine.
So favorite villain. I would have to have to echo David on that one. Not David, not this David, the other David. Joker, like he is like just the epitome of villainy, just being bad for no reason, just for the sake of being evil. And then also on top of that, he's also just the concept. Well, I mean, I'd say they've kind of written him to be this way now, but the concept of what a villain is just I mean what a villain ultimately is or can be just a person who had a bad day like that bad day or multiple bad days, and the ignored human being that we ignore every day around us. Like Joker is a villain of human's own creation. He was
Okay,
a normal man.
let me just go one step further. Who's your favorite Joker?
My favorite Joker as far as like cinematically.
Yeah, who's your favorite Joker?
uh
If you say anything other than Joaquin Phoenix, you're wrong.
I was
But
about
go
to say,
ahead.
not
No, I mean
even-
actually, that's kind of where that's
Jack
kind of where I was gonna
Nicholson.
say now, because like he's the next one. Before that, it was I can't even remember his
Oh,
name
Heath
now. That's
Ledger.
insane. Heath Ledger,
Jack.
yes.
Heath Ledger. No,
Before
yeah.
that was Heath Ledger, because like that was building on that same concept, just evil for no good, evil for no reason, just to prove that evil is
Oh, I haven't
evil.
seen this.
And then
So
he was also that ignored. But Joaquin Phoenix, when I saw that movie, it was the perfect telling of just that ignored human being. Like he himself, up until he became Joker, was really looking to do nothing wrong in the world. He was just like every corner was beating him down, and then the world didn't even want to help him out. So he said, "I've snapped," and like that's just simply what a villain is—a man who's just he's snapped, he's had it. And sometimes like Joker is the reminder that maybe we every single day we need to be looking for that person we need to help, or else that was something that can happen. A man who just wants to bad for no good reason. But enough on the Joker. As far as favorite line from a TV hero, I'm sorry, favorite line from a TV show, it's Robin from Young Justice. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that show, but it was just it was a later Cartoon Network spinoff of like the idea of the Teen Titans and all the sidekicks having their own Justice League. Essentially, they were like the Black Ops of the Justice League. They would do all the missions that Justice League that were maybe a little too small for their power
Kind of
scale,
like
but
the Agents of Shield in Marvel.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I would say it's pretty close to that. It was just an animated series, but Robin in that series was always he had a thing for just questioning regular language and the English language, and he goes, "If dislike is the opposite of like, then is disaster the opposite of aster?" Um, so, and he did a lot of things like that.
I thought you were gonna say, "Have you ever been whelmed?"
That's my second favorite one. I'm glad you're familiar with the line. That's sort of like that. So I mean, overall, in the character in the show, he was my favorite for that reason. Like he was just, if you're looking for a funny moment,
He sounds like a
dullness,
real ass. I would like to punch him in the face.
you would, because he would start plans with like
He's Robin,
look,
so
they would
yeah.
turn around and be like, Robin, you ready? He'd be gone starting the plan and no one knows what's going on. He's like, Robin, you're a dick. And that was Dick Grayson Robin, so it fits the name. As far as under the right circumstance, what villain would you most likely be like? I mean, honestly, Joker. Just why not? Like, if I'm gonna be a villain, like if the world's gonna push me to be a villain, why not just good for no good reason? I see a person to trip them. I see a cart to kick over, kick it. Like if I can start a bank robbery and not even care if I get the money just to cause the disaster. That's the point of being a villain. Like you're not. I mean, I feel like when you have a cause, it starts to it gets too muddy. Just be evil.
All of you
don't
are
build
so
up.
wrong. You're just so wrong about this. This is not Joker was
Why
a
build up?
broken psychopath. You're not going to be a psychopath. You're not broken. And so if you're
No, I
going
don't
to be
think.
a villain, you can't what are you going to break yourself first?
I mean,
That's
my
what you would have to do to be Joker.
well, no, I would say that the world. I mean, like if I'm going to become a villain, I'm not.
You'd have
I
to
don't
be
think I
mentally
would. I
ill.
don't think I as a person would choose that scenario. It'd be something that the world would push me to, because that's how I view myself. I think I don't think Joker's actions to become the Joker was a choice. It was more something that the world literally like that's kind of like
That's my point. So all
my
of you
idea.
saying that you would be like Joker, you couldn't because he didn't choose to be like
I
Joker.
think it is. I think it is
Well,
possible
I'm
to
saying
plan to be
I'm saying I wouldn't
chaotic,
have a choice.
though.
It's the idea that so I guess if I had to choose to be a villain, then it probably would be something on the lines of Thanos, because it's I mean, as far as like villainous causes, it's the only one that really seems like one to pursue. It's purposeful, and it creates it creates a real rise in people's morals. Are you what is better for all? Is it to wipe out half of everything and preserve everything, or is it to just allow things to just go, and also, but also inevitably cause detriment to other things around it? So it's also like that's that question of save. If you're in a trolley and it's gonna run over people, do you? I mean, and you have to sacrifice yourself to do it. Do you sacrifice yourself or save the people, or sacrifice one or save the people, etc. That's kind of like Thanos's whole ethos, and I kind of like that too.
Chase,
Yeah, go ahead, Teddy.
okay, so like you were saying, if you were going to choose to be a villain, Joker, but Joker's taking out, innocent people.
Oh no, I know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's the whole point of me saying it's just evil for no good reason. I did like if the world's gonna push me to be a villain,
That's his point.
I'm just gonna be evil. I mean, like if you find a way to turn me, good job. But
the world,
if I'm at villainy, I'm going for it. But I mean, like if I had to choose, it'd probably be something on the lines of Thanos.
The world could push somebody into doing wrong and make them technically a villain, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they would want to just take out innocent people as well, because maybe
Joker takes out innocents and
a villain doesn't care though. Isn't that the point of a villain?
You're just doing
but you could be a villain just in terms of doing wrong. So let's say there's a villain that goes and executes every thief.
Punisher.
That's a villain.
I mean, that's a vigilante.
That's like
What are you going to be, Teddy?
That would bring you into
villain?
the conversation of vigilantism of more, and then like, what kind of hero are you? Are you an anti-hero? Are you a full hero?
So go ahead. Is there a hero or a villain?
But wait, hold
go
on,
ahead,
Teddy,
go ahead, Chase. Go ahead.
Let me get this last question now, and then that way Teddy can get all the questions.
There'll be other opportunities.
As far as the power I try to suppress or wipe out, I'm kind of stuck between either none at all or only mental powers, because mental powers would be the largest threat to anyone. It's something that not only can you not know when it's going on, it's almost one that in order to stop them from doing the bad thing, you kind of have to kill them or convince them, because like even still even if you think you convince them, you don't know because you're under there because of the capability. And that's more of like people who have like mind control, like the ability to create illusions and things like that. So all mental powers are a danger.
You have to murder them. You simply have to murder them.
Even
if they
honestly,
were a good person.
if we're in that world, that is kind of my position. Like they're so dangerous. Like I don't know if you guys ever like read up on this in detail, like what superpowers can do in detail. Those are kind of the ones that scare me the most. It's just because you don't know.
You don't know. Even if it's a baby and you can test that they have the power,
They might accidentally do it.
You don't get to your first birthday. You don't get out of the hospital.
Demon bear.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be monstrous. Look, this is good. I've learned a lot about the people on the panel. I'm so glad that we're separated by distance and that none of you know where I am. Do the debate here, and here are the rules. We've got two teams. Actually, we don't have them yet because they don't know that they're going to be teams. Andrew and I are going to take sides. It's all about this vigilante nonsense with superheroes. And because I am an anti-vigilante kind of guy in real life, I'm going to be arguing and taking the team to argue the pro-vigilante side. Andrew, being a anarchist for all intents and purposes, is going to have to argue the anti-vigilante side. I am giving Andrew first pick. Andrew, pick.
Okay, so because I like this guy's work on the battlefield, and because I'm pretty aware of his reading habits and how well prepared he is likely to be, I am going to take Dr. Digital himself, Matthew Taylor.
Uh-oh. You're screwed, man.
Yeah, you're sorry.
Look, my first and second round draft picks aren't even on the line yet.
Look, your first round draft pick just showed up. And so in a act of pure villainy, Even though she has no idea what's going on, Teddy, you are on my team, and you will be arguing pro vigilantism.
Oh, good.
Okay.
And I chose you simply because Andrew wanted you, and I will not let him have you. Andrew, pick.
That's okay. The death ray is warming up. You're, you're screwed, dude. The death ray is aimed right at you. Hmm. Okay. I think I am going to take another unknown to me. We've never been on the superhero battlefield together before, but I am going to take Professor Primus. John, welcome to the Unmentionables team.
Okay. Sorry about that, John. Randall, you can argue any side of bullcrap, no matter whether you believe it or not. And so for that, I am going to put you on the pro vigilante team.
Now I have no idea who's left.
You've got Russell,
Chase and David.
Chase, and that's it. You got Russell and Chase.
I don't know how to guide you on that one, mate. Just
Oh well, we've done so well so far. What could possibly go wrong?
But you should
So-
take Russell because he couldn't possibly take an aggressive stance for anything. So he'd be a good anti-vigilante guy.
So
I think for that you should take Chase, because if David's pointing you somewhere, I think you should go the opposite direction.
the trouble
Oh,
is
that's-
the trouble is that I had a group of superhero names pre-picked out, and because Teddy was actually one of the ones that I intended to select, whichever of you I choose actually ends up with the superhero name Mistress Madness. So
Go on then, dude. Go for one.
so
crafted.
we are going to take the shapeshifter himself, Russell. Mistress
right.
Madness, welcome to.
All right.
Okay,
Okay.
Chase, welcome to the winning team. I'm sorry to give you the experience of being like the last guy picked on the field, feeling kind of pathetic. But you know, skeptics and seekers, brother. Okay, we are
why I
arguing
joined.
for vigilantism. The order of it will go Andrew, and then me, and then whatever loser goes next on his team, and then Randall, and then another loser, and then Chase, and then a loser, and then Teddy. You will anchor us. And after Teddy is done speaking, we will have a brief but bloody free for all. Andrew, go.
So I'd like to first point out that it's always the loudmouth villains that end up with their foot in it at the end of the show. So keep talking there, Captain Sweats a lot, because you know you're done already. You're done. Okay.
It was so bad, Skype kicked him off.
He was Twitter
But he gets for being
banned.
direct and to the point, right?
Okay.
Oh, man.
Until David is back, Teddy, you care to take the next round?
Yes. Vigilantism, it's a complicated topic because of the reason that not everybody can appreciate and understand what is good and what is right. And that is the problem with vigilantism. When you have someone that doesn't know what is right and isn't guided by a set of principles. And
now you're supposed to be defending it, by the way. You're on
I
David's
am.
team.
I'm setting the ground. But for people who do understand what is right, then I agree with David. So I mean, the hell may have just frozen over. But when you see that an injustice is going on, one of my favorite quotes is Fiat justitia ruat coelum, Latin for let justice be done though the heavens fall. And when we as individuals see injustice going on, it is incumbent upon us to do whatever we can as individuals, not to rely on the police, not to rely on the government, not to rely on society and others to do what is right, but we must be, it all starts with us. And we must do what's right. We must defend ourselves. We must defend others too. We have that, I think, some people would say we don't have a duty to that, but I would say that we have a moral duty to that, to do that. And so to just say that, let's let the police handle it. I don't like that. I think it's sort of a cop-out when you see something or you become aware of something that you can do something to help the situation or to protect people. I like the idea, and I know that you can't. You have a degree of a legal ability to defend others in a self-defense situation in the same way that you can defend yourself. You can defend others in terms of. Matthew was talking about if you go and look for people to defend, or if it's a situation that's not just presented right in front of you, seeking it out, I don't know that that's a problem either, because that's still defending other people. So, if I go to a place where people are in danger, why can't I help? What's wrong with that? So, but the problem, the reason why society in general doesn't like vigilantism is because of poor judgment by some people. And so then you will have people going off half-cocked, doing crazy stuff that is not bringing about justice and righteousness. And so I personally, I have no problem with vigilantism, and perhaps that's why I like superheroes.
All right, so for Team Unmentionable, I think we'll take Professor Proposition. John, tell us why Teddy's wrong, as if that needs to be done. Oh, sorry.
Well, for two reasons. One, vigilantes are literally just people who are outside the law. David was saying that all superheroes are vigilantes, but the only dividing line is that heroes are government sponsored. The vigilantes aren't. That being said, Teddy and David's entire team is wrong because, I mean, you've got to obey the law. In the real world, vigilantes have ended up being people like the KKK. the Proud Boys. Uh, vigilantes are not good guys. They have their own set of morals, their own view of justice, and impose that on other people regardless of what society says. Whether they are right or wrong doesn't matter because they're right in their own eyes. Everyone is a hero in their own story. Vigilantes are a drain on society because they not only cause more damage, but then the real authorities have to come in and clean up whatever it is that they've done, either in hospital bills or prison or what have you. Vigilantes are just bad all the way around, and that's not my real opinion, but still, for the purposes of this.
Okay. Now,
Argue with conviction.
David, are you back?
Wait, and one more thing specifically for Teddy.
Okay.
Jesus was a vigilante.
Okay. Not the relationship. Not the relationship.
Here comes the
call out of
sting.
bounds on that. Call out of
there
bounds
it is.
I'm back.
Okay,
Hey, Dave,
good.
you're right.
So, Teddy
It
has
looked like
gone-
recording stopped when you dropped off, so I hit record again.
I appreciate it. I lost Wi-Fi completely. Everything just died, and so whichever one of you shot the ray gun,
It missed. Damn it.
well played.
It was clearly a vigilante.
Okay, so Dave, let me catch up on where we are. So Matthew's gone on my side, Teddy's gone on your side, John has gone on my side, and it's down to you to pick the next superhero to defend vigilantism.
Did Randall?
I was leaving him for your closer.
Okay, he was
leaving him to
actually
anchor.
supposed to be next when I went off, and so somebody completely subverted everything. I'm working off of the Wi-Fi on my phone right now. Randall, whatever has happened while I was gone, I need you to fix it.
Well, okay, so
No, that's
this is
what I
good.
did when I shot the Wi-Fi. That was my fix.
Don't you just hate it when the laws don't work?
No, it was a just homicide. I killed his Wi-Fi, and it was. Okay, sorry. So I picked your team out of order. So
It's all right, Randall. For this, you were chosen.
Perfect, because I got to get going anyway. So I'll just give you my statement and then I got to log out. So it's been great joining you, however briefly. Here's my statement. So first of all, we have to clarify the issues here. So can vigilantism be unjustified? Clearly, yes. There are cases where it can. Proud Boys, I think that's a good example that was raised a moment ago. But can it be justified? The answer there is also yes, and that's what I'm defending. So a vigilante is a member of a self-appointed group or citizens who undertake law enforcement under their own authority rather than legal authority grounded in the state. Well, it's important here to understand that legal authority is ultimately derivative of moral authority because the law itself is a socially constructed attempt to attain the good society that is in accord with moral norms, including objective moral values and obligations. So the extent, and this is key, the extent to which a legal authority fails to actualize the moral authority is the extent to which that legal authority loses their own authority. So let me give you an example of this. It's the Vietnam War over the My Lai, the village of My Lai, and some American soldiers, under their legal authority of their government and the army, invade the village. But then they begin to undertake mass killings within the village. There's a helicopter pilot named Hugh Thompson Jr. who's observing this from above. He realizes that what is unfolding is in fact a war atrocity. In that moment, he realizes that the legal authority under which the soldiers are operating has diverged from the moral authority, which means that they've lost legal authority. And within that context, he steps out of the chain of legal authority, becomes a vigilante, lowers his helicopter close to the ground, and begins to fire into the ground to drive the troops back from the village so they are prevented from killing more people. In that moment, he becomes a vigilante. And if you want to carry through the analogy with superhero powers, you can think of his helicopter in that sense as being an extension of his powers. And he is operating not under legal authority, but under moral authority, which in that moment trumps legal authority. That is an example of the moral justification for the vigilante. So yes, you can fail to be under the moral authority as a vigilante, but there are moments where the legal authority is given up or surrendered because they've failed to actualize the moral authority that is required to realize the just society. And those are the moments when the vigilante must stand in the gap. And that's my statement. Thank you all for having me. And I'm just going to give my 2 cents since I'm unable to join you. I've been unable to join you for the superhero portion. Bible Man, there's the superhero. That's the one you want. He was, 49 episodes of Bible Man between 1995 and 2010. He can beat the rest of them. So great being with you all. See you later.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us.
You.
Okay. So I didn't hear much of any of that. I just know that we won. And I feel good about that. But just to be sure, we have
So of course
we have some moments built in of superhero melee free for all, and so I want to hear some back and forth to
There's
see
2 team
where
members who haven't had their shot yet.
Oh, that's what I asked.
Oh, who?
We're
David and Chase.
we're not nearly done.
Oh, you mean the people? Oh, well, I've got. Wait a minute. Who's on my team? Oh, Chase. I'm sorry.
So David Russell.
So you picked him
It's not a
last,
burn.
and then you forgot he existed. I mean, the poor guy. Come on, he's got cool posters
and
a
then
cool
you and I
mug,
have to do our closings.
and you're just ignoring the guy. I mean, how dare you?
I didn't mean to put you on the back of the bus or anything.
We've got two
cooler
members.
chin hair than you have.
David, we've got one member from each team that hasn't spoken, and then we've got our 1-minute closings, and we can move on to letting these guys destroy each other.
Well, we'll do the 1-minute closings after they destroy each other. So, John, you're up. Tell us why vigilantism.
David.
Why don't you let Andrew
It's David
continue
Russell that hasn't. It's Lieutenant Logic.
So,
David
John,
Russell
you're up.
anchoring.
I'm just trying to give you guys the best chance.
John's gone. David's anchoring this side. So, Lieutenant Logic, I've taken away the the superhero name that Teddy should have had. You're now Lieutenant Logic. Help us out. Why is David as delusional as it seems?
Well, because even though it's hard to come back from a Randall Rouser speech, that I could hear him typing as everybody else was going. I do got to say that I'm with Matthew. I mean, the gentleman in the helicopter didn't kill any of his own troops. He just drove them back. He was defending them. There's nothing wrong with self-defense. Vigilantes take things too far. And it's also a mark on the vigilante himself. Usually vigilantes are dark, down, and depressed. Why? Because they've taken it way too far. And that is a true hallmark of the vigilante. He has taken it too far. It has damaged him in some way, and he can't stop. So laws are there for boundaries. They give us boundaries. Sometimes laws are not just, and that's why we work within the consent of the governed to change those laws and make them better. The vigilante doesn't give room for improvement. Mm-hmm. He just takes it all into his own hand. So, yes. Is there a personal aspect? Absolutely. Is there a personal aspect for the vigilante as well? Yes. And most of the time, even with Batman, they take it too far sometimes and they recognize it. And then they have to rely on a better moral code to try to find redemption in it in some way. And I'm done.
Hey, Russell, you didn't embarrass yourself.
I never do.
Said the man who can't figure out how to keep his Wi-Fi plugged in.
So I've been actually saving Chase as the secret weapon, and so I've made you think
after you forgot
that he was just some ridiculous young kid who doesn't even know what underoos are. But Frank, which happens to be true, but
why did I answer that question?
But I've been saving him for this very moment. Chase, Run them off.
So, as far as vigilantism, to say that vigilantism is wrong is to almost say that to do what's right is wrong. A vigilante does not act within the laws, no, because the laws are based off of sometimes things that are right and wrong. We have a lot of laws that we all can say here agree in reality that just aren't good for us. But the vigilante acts what's in best interest of what we all just quote unquote agree to here. So they're acting in best interest of human beings, not in best interest of governments or of establishments. They're acting in best interest of us as humans. While yes, vigilantes can take it too far, that's not an indictment on their intention. That the label vigilante goes towards your intention. And if your intention is to do what's best for humans as you go about, and you also notice here in the world of superheroes that you are the best chance for a bad case scenario, it is your duty as a human being to act. And so to now put the damages of that action on the vigilante, I say is almost wrong in and of itself. Just because we are upset or bothered by the catastrophe of what a villain caused or what any other negative action caused, it was that vigilante's responsibility to be the best possible chance of survival for whoever it may have been or wherever it may have been. So we understand that's why we have certain titles for when we talk about superpowered beings. They're not all heroes. Some of them are just mutants. Some of them are anti-heroes because they take negative actions intentionally. So while yes, vigilantes can do things that are too far, how could we not ask the people who are our best chance at survival in almost any case to act for us when we are simply human beings? Simple human beings. They are advanced human beings. And that's
with
where I have to
that,
leave it.
let the gauntlets fly. Andrew and I will pick up the pieces after everyone is sufficiently bloodied. And since I did not actually hear some of the arguments, I'm just going to step in very briefly and say, John, you are a shame to your race for speaking against
amongst other things.
vigilantism. How dare you? I slap you with the French glove.
Just to be put into that
If he
position.
can keep his Wi-Fi working in the meantime.
John, didn't you get placed into that position? That wasn't your choice, right? To defend it.
Oh,
Stop helping him.
oh, definitely.
No. I heard him say he wanted to go against vigilantism. I distinctly heard that.
See, in the spirit of skeptics and seekers, I'm turning the other cheek.
That is not the spirit of skeptics and
Yeah,
seekers.
and that's
You
not
have
the
been
cheek that we normally
sorely
turn. So
How many debates have you been in?
That would not be the spirit of skeptics and
no,
seekers.
what we do is kick the other cheek. So sorry.
Well,
So
kicking is what you did there, because you should know, David, from our conversations earlier, that this is not my stance.
So let me
I'm
ask you a question. I think that we do have a responsibility to ask what this will look like. If it's true that vigilantism should in general be acceptable, suppose we lived in a world that was much more equitable, where there are no red lines between neighborhoods, so lenders can choose not to lend to people that live in impoverished neighborhoods. Let's pretend that we live in a world where everyone has has open access or equal access to medical care, to education, to good food, to clean air, to not live by a garbage dump. Let's just pretend that that's the world we live in. There would be vigilantes in that world who would try to destroy that system because they believed in a supreme race, because they wanted an agenda that promoted their perceived well-being over that of others. In other words, there would be greed, discontent, strife, anger, and violence, even in that world. Those people would be vigilantes in a system that was working well. Would they be right?
Well,
Would
would
vigilantism be
they
okay?
be vigilantes or would they just be criminals? Because when I think of vigilantes, Batman, excuse me, Punisher, Daredevil, and the like, they are vigilantes because the law didn't do what it was supposed to do. The law failed. It wasn't that they were. It wasn't that they were. They have this one ideal of what things should be, and they're pushing forward. That's what the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants does. That's what villains do. When the law, when the court system doesn't convict the gangster because he's got political ties, that's when the vigilante stick comes in and starts shooting people. Not because Donald Trump lost the election. You know,
But
that's a
just
different type of that's a different
just so you know,
category.
I'm about to log off, and I hope I don't torpedo the show. But I'm gonna I'm gonna come back. Make sure the record button is still going. I'm gonna switch back to my home Wi-Fi. I think it's back up and running. So
Cool.
uh,
John, I like the answer, but I think that you were right to point out Donald Trump. So today we have to grapple. Teddy, I wonder what you think here. Today we have to grapple with some group like the Proud Boys, right? So we live in a country that's equally divided, roughly equally divided. If you'll allow me to just say that 49.2% to 49.5% or whatever it is equal.
margin.
Then we live in a
Huge.
country. Do what, Dave?
That's a huge margin. Huge.
Right. So we live in a country where it is roughly equal, and the sitting president may have actually called for vigilantism, though he did lose by a slim majority. Is it right? Teddy, what do you think? David, I'll give you your mic
I'm
back
not
now that you're
familiar with. What did Trump say that you were interpreting as maybe
Stand
called?
by and stand back, boys.
What did he say?
Stand by and stand back. No, stand back and stand by, boys.
And who are the boys? Just boys in
The
general?
Proud Boys.
That'll be the
This
Proud
was
Boys, of
actually
course
in
it will
the
be.
second presidential debate.
I mean, this whole Proud Boy thing and this whole trying to, with the whole Civil War statues, trying to paint the man as supporting the KKK when he explicitly and repeatedly said, when he was talking about good people on both sides, he was talking about people that want the statues up versus not wanting the statues up. So I reject this whole notion of trying to frame Trump as some racist. He has explicitly
I would
denied.
like to answer
But-
that.
but
please.
Right, but you're not answering the question.
Okay, but but you injected that whole aspect.
Let me re-ask the question so that the question is clear.
I
Let me
know-
re-ask you the question
I'm
so that the question is clear. The question is, would it be proper for a sitting president to activate a group of vigilantes in the face of a loss?
I don't think he's trying to activate.
That's fine.
It's not,
Would it
but
be
the question
proper?
isn't, Dizzy. You're on our team. We're arguing against vigilantism. Should the president encourage vigilantes?
Here's what we're forgetting, or some.
Well, if he deputizes them, then maybe. I mean,
Yeah, if the president
Well, they're
actually
not
encourages the
vigilantes.
vigilantes, they're not vigilantes anymore.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
not. They're not.
right.
Yeah, they're not
That's-
vigilantes.
so at
and I
least
wouldn't
that is a
categorize
more
them as
direct
vigilantes.
answer.
They're
Superheroes
not
at
acting in
that
the best
point.
interest of humans.
Andrew.
They're not acting in
Now
the
we've
best
got
interest of
someone
humans.
responding to the question. So if the
Well,
president is on his way out, but he can activate vigilantes in order to
you mean-
maintain
He's
his
activating
power,
criminals.
David,
Like
you
what the
would say
Democrat
that
Party
he would be
does?
justified
It's
and it
called
would be
rioting?
okay because
Is that
they wouldn't
what
be
you mean?
vigilantes
Like
on the back
activating
of the fact that it was his power to do so.
I think you've got the answer. The answer is yes.
Did you hear
Um,
what I said? Andrew?
Look, I need. I. Oh man.
The thing is, a vigilante is only a vigilante if you like what they do. If you don't like what they do, then they're a criminal to you. They're not a vigilante. You know, it's purely
But
a
that's
subjective description.
But
that's
isn't
the same
the
with the
heart?
Well,
superhero though.
that's where it would come down to what we largely agree. That's why I said like they're acting in best interest of what we largely agree to, and protecting things such as like and such as thing as like what we say with our natural rights or bodily autonomy and things like that. So like if someone is, simple example, robbing somebody, they're not like, if there are no cops around, that's just going to happen, and you as a vigilante, as a superpowered being, can stop that. It's actually it's your and you're considering yourself a superhero. It is your obligation to go and stop that robber. Now, I'm not like, now that's why I said where people who take lives just because or for their own means, that's not a vigilante. Like, are we just saying people who just is in general act outside the law are vigilantes, or is there like, because, or are we saying like a person that acts inside the law to also I guess uphold law?
Well, Chase, what's interesting here is that you bring up an interesting point. But like, what would you say to, because this does happen, and it happens a lot, unfortunately, is the person that does have the superhero ability, if he walks away, says, oh, that's their situation, they need to deal with it, or they need to get whoever else involved, are they wrong at that point? Or, because they don't feel like it's, their job to do so, because they can't police the world in that aspect. They can't police everything, and they decide, hey,
Well,
I might have
tell me, Russell, does Superman have the right to make an arrest?
Well, well, here's the thing. No, because he doesn't exist. But no, just but no, but no.
So would a citizen be right? Would a citizen be right to detain somebody themselves until the cop showed up?
Or no, they just walk away. They say, you know what, we'll allow.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna allow whatever happens because I'm not getting involved. And
we have something called citizen's arrest.
So if you as a
superhero,
if you as a superhero notice the crime and allow it to happen,
well, they didn't allow it to happen. They walked away from it. You see, like, okay, so there's situations.
That's aligned with it.
There's
what do you mean walk away
exactly,
from it?
but there's situations that go on that we're not obligated to make a citizen's arrest. We have the choice to make the citizen's arrest.
Right.
So does that make him wrong to choose the other way?
When we make a citizen's arrest, we are playing the role of vigilante. And when the superhero makes an arrest, they are essentially making a citizen's arrest. So how can you say that they are wrong for exercising their power?
And also, we have an ongoing conversation in society today saying like that's a problem, that people don't do enough as the observers to stop crimes. Like that's the thing. Like people are like, oh, someone else is going to get it. That's a problem here in our society today. So like that's the idea of vigilantism, is that because no one else is acting and the law is not around to act, or
Two more minutes. If you guys have something to say, jump in. And interrupt the fool with the mic. Okay. 2 minutes.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to mention, and this is in response to Andrew, is, and I know, Andrew, you talked about how you are very much so in favor of the Second Amendment. And the Second Amendment is there because our founding fathers knew that governments could end up becoming corrupt and tyrannical. And in the event that happens, the people need to rise up and fight against that. And they need to have the ability to fight. And if they are stripped of their arms, how are they going to fight a tyrannical government or a corrupt government? And so back to what you were saying about Trump is...
If you want to disagree with it, you got about 45 seconds.
The Second Amendment is there to ensure that white landowners could defend themselves against their slaves if they ever rose up, not because of a tyrannical government.
No,
I'm sorry to tell you.
I don't necessarily agree with Teddy on her point about the Second Amendment.
That's not exactly, not at all.
It's so that they can rise in rebellion against the government.
Okay.
That actually was, but,
lovely. Andrew, 1 minute. Close out your side.
I'm sorry, what?
Andrew?
Oh.
Did we lose Andrew?
No, he's
Great.
muted. Andrew,
my
plan
plan
to do it for you.
Andrew, you're muted.
And he will remain so. um, Screw with my Wi-Fi. I'll screw with your mic. We've got your head.
Oh dear.
No. So that's his superpower.
Have you hit
Turn
the
it
right
off.
button yet?
Um,
Speak, Andrew.
David just shot that death ray back at him and knocked his stuff out.
All right, I tell you what. I'll take my minute first,
I
and
never
we'll
said
see if.
that I was in great. Hold on. I never
Yeah, we can
said
hear
I was
you.
in great favor of the Second Amendment.
Ah.
That's total gaslighting. Not something that I have said. I am not, in fact,
You
in
said
great.
you like your gun.
I will speak for myself. Thank you very much.
You said you like
I'm
your
not, in fact, in great favor of the Second Amendment, and I'll speak for myself. Thank you very much. I am for a society where people can own firearms responsibly, if such a society could be had. That said, I think that our implementation of the Second Amendment, where every idiot with a four-wheel drive can also own a gun to shoot his neighbor, is entirely irresponsible. And I do not believe that the words organized militia have anything to do with our current implementation of the Second Amendment. Furthermore, the gun lobby, especially in its guise as the NRA, has entirely too much political power, and we need to be very careful. And we need much stricter gun control laws so that every idiot with a pickup can't shoot his 2-year-old at a party in Texas. So
Okay.
Great favor is absolutely a mischaracterization of my position.
Andrew, Teddy, Andrew, 1 minute. Close out your side. I will close out my side with even less than 1 minute. Andrew, go.
Okay, so I think this is pretty easy. In Russell, not Russell, David, who just left your team, Randall Rouser. Sorry, Randall.
Yeah, it's just an R, a Christian R. It's okay. They're all the same.
So in Randall's speech, he talked about the helicopter pilot being a vigilante. I think the setup was wrong. The actual vigilantes were those soldiers who took it upon themselves to start unjustifiably killing the people in that little small village. It is one thing to use war to prosecute the political agenda of your country in keeping with the sorts of wartime rules that we have. I don't like them. But we live in a world where we're going to have war and conflict. The helicopter pilot was not actually the vigilante. He was the person standing on the side of doing both the moral thing and the thing that the people who went off the reservation and started murdering villagers had done wrong. They were the vigilantes, not the helicopter pilot. And I don't think we have to go a lot further to understand what vigilantism is, except for what Chase said. Chase said vigilantes can take it too far. Well, the problem is, once you've been labeled a vigilante, you have taken it too far. That's the view of the law and order side.
Mm-hmm. Very well. I will take even less time than that. Is vigilantism okay? It's a tough question. What is the right thing to do? That's really the question. In any given situation, when things are tough, when the blood pressure is high, when the anxiety is through the roof, and the moment is upon you, what is the right thing to do? I don't know. Can it be summed up with some superhero cliche? I don't know. I know this. The only thing required for evil to thrive is for good men, for good people to do nothing. Is it right? I don't know, but I want to be one of those good people who, when the moment is upon me,
Amen to that.
Okay, very good debate. Who won? The viewers will decide. We will look at the preponderance of the commenters. Commenters, we need a winner. Was it the pro vigilante side or the anti-vigilante side? Put in your vote at skepticsandseekers.squarespace.com. Skepticsandseekers.squarespace.com. And just before we go into a little bit of break, I want to break everyone out of character. Say, excellent job. I felt dirty with every word that I spoke. Kind of like a Skeptics and Seekers episode. Except that I really actually am on the other side. So I actually do am completely against vigilantism. I am largely against superheroes. I
don't
think
we live
that
in a
most
world
of
in which
them
it
are
cannot
villains.
safely be carried out.
So I just want to give everyone a chance to speak for a moment about what you really believe. John, I know that you are not an anti-vigilante. So I mean, this is your chance to, let your freak flag fly.
So my general stance is and has been for a very, very long time. And are we allowed to curse on this? I haven't listened to episodes tonight. Yeah.
Is there any cursing on Skeptics and Seekers?
It better be.
Anyway, yes, you can. You can.
Okay.
You can
So
curse.
my general
Teddy curses like a
stance
sailor as soon as we
isn't-
hang up. I mean, come on.
and then ask for forgiveness afterwards, right? But my general my general stance is fuck the police. Um, all day, every day, twice on Tuesdays. I don't like them. Abolish them. All cops are bastards. Every single one of them, even the ones in my family. I do not like them. That being said, I also think that vigilantism works and should be what's done in the form of community policing, because community policing literally is just vigilantism. It's your neighbors taking the law into their own hands outside and taking it away from that of the police. I am for that all day, every day. When it comes to people like the Proud Boys and KKK and stuff like that, yeah, there will be some bad apples in there. And generally, I don't consider them vigilantes. They are more so just regular criminals because they're not trying to uphold the law as written. They're trying to make something new. That's the difference, in my opinion, between a vigilante and a criminal. Also, as David was saying, that the superheroes are all vigilantes. Again, it comes down to who authorizes you. The Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the Justice League, they are all authorized by the government. They are not vigilantes. They are the law. X-Men, pretty much anybody else, Spider-Man, Daredevil, the Defenders, all they are going, Batman even, when he's on his own for some odd reason, are going against the law. Sometimes they work with them, but they are criminals. They are not being authorized by the people in power. They are
Daredevil, yes.
vigilantes.
Spider-Man, no. Spider-Man's part of the Avengers. Just putting that out
He
there.
is,
Later
and he
edition.
He
isn't. He's
becomes a
part.
part of the Avengers, so I guess it just depends on when you're
But
talking
you see,
about.
that's the
Yeah,
thing, though.
right.
All of the
Everybody becomes
Avengers
part of
became a part of the Avengers later. They didn't start that way.
I mean,
This is true.
everybody in Marvel
But that's
is part
that
of the
is part of the
Avengers
problem.
at
So
one point or another.
Because the government realized we can't beat them. They're superheroes, so
But
we
that's the
just
thing,
will
so-
use them.
but vigilante, but I don't think vigilantism doesn't speak to like that's what I'm saying. Like, are we just saying vigilantes are just people who just in general act outside the law? Because like if that's the case, then like everyone like,
Definition.
Yeah, you know, I
like
think
that,
we have
that's
a, I
that's
think
just
we have a
that's
real
also the same definition as a
guys,
criminal. So it's like what are we even talking about? But like vigilante, we all
Yeah.
understand. Like we're talking people who literally do the right thing for people. So like
Yeah,
we know
I
like if there's a negative government regime, they're going to act in best interest of the people, not just any government. Like like obviously to depict superheroes here in America as like doing the best thing for Americans, like Superman and stuff like that. That's because that's more of just portrayal. But like we understand the idea of they're usually
I don't like
serving in
Superman.
best interest of like
I
our
don't
best
like him at all.
concepts here in America. So like stopping crime, helping your neighbor, and it's the idea that since you are the best person, the only person available to do it, you do it.
Yeah, I think we have. I think we have a big. Hold on,
hang on, Russell. Russell, go ahead.
Hey, I think that we have a big gap in our definition of vigilante. I think that's what is getting us to speak past each other sometimes.
Well, let me just ask you, Russell. Were you on the side that you would naturally be on? Are you generally opposed to vigilantism because your arguments were good and seemed heartfelt? You're not a very good actor.
I'm in the middle, man. So look, there's somebody like the Joker that Batman only has to deal with. That's the other side. You know, only Batman can deal with the Joker.
So you
or
think
somebody
if
just
it's enough, then someone should write it.
I think everything relies on the situation, right? So you know, we're in a comic book world, so of course you're going to root for the good guy. So I would kind of hold to what Chase was saying a little bit more, you know, about them doing the right thing for the people. But then again, there is that other aspect where the vigilantes usually do take it too far, so there has to be a boundary.
Well, that's just kind of like that's kind of holding human beings to this altruistic standard.
Let me get to the other two real quick.
Cops go too far. Like people who we agree to be like.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Let me get to the other two real quick. Teddy, I had you pegged as a law and order kind of person. You know, seeing that you're kind of a lawyer.
I'm a wrong kind of person.
You should not actually be having so much fun arguing pro vigilantism. What's your actual view?
In principle, I'm in favor of it, and I'm still sort of in favor of it. The problem with it's a problematic thing because not everybody has a good sense of right and wrong. And so that's why the government doesn't want everybody going off, administering justice, because there's probably going to be a lot of injustice committed in the name of justice. Now, one of the things that I would like
the government never does that.
Well, I mean, and it depends. I mean, government is not always acting
we got to get together after this.
in a good way, and so governments can be corrupt. I'd like to, with what I see vigilantism as, to me, the word basically assumes that what the vigilante is doing is promoting and administering justice
as he or she sees it.
Okay, but justice and their right how what they think justice is. And that brings back to the whole morality extravaganza that we had months ago, where if you don't have a compass that points to true north and is wrong, things can get very screwy very quickly. And that's why
everyone does right in their own eyes. This is a biblical warning. Matthew, what side are you really on?
I was on the right side.
You were on the right side. Yes,
I
thought so. So
I am.
You were arguing anti-vigilantism.
I was, yeah.
I am anti-vigilantism, and I think if I had to speak for him, I think that Rouser would largely be anti-vigilantism as well. So we have a fairly evenly split panel, with most of you carrying a gun and taking the law into your own hands. Scary world.
So,
David,
well, I wouldn't necessarily say that.
As
far as like what
I'm right in the middle.
Well, here
I'm pretty far in the. I'm pretty close to the middle. It's the circumstance or how we're explaining or how one would describe what they're calling.
Actually, Chase, I'm not too far opposed from your position, but we'll talk about it a little bit more later. But Andrew, you're the only one who hasn't spoken in this "Be Who You Are" round. Talk a little bit about what you really think about vigilantism, and should we think of superheroes as heroes? Andrew.
Oh, sorry. I thought you called on someone else there.
No.
Okay.
I called on Cyclops. Excuse me.
Again, who are you calling?
Oh my God.
Look, Captain Eye Patch, don't go messing with me. Okay, these are jokes that two guys who have not one good eye between them can make. So,
by the way, I'm fine with Captain Eye Patch. I've gotten a promotion to captain.
Nice.
okay, so
I'll take that.
Here, I think I'm going to take the dangerous step of agreeing with Teddy, at least in part. I think one of the issues we face as a society is deciding whether a group of vigilantes has a well-calibrated view on what good is. So when we see vigilantes, and in fact, I'll invite all of you to go ahead and go to Google and just do the search, define vigilante. So hopefully, if we all run off and read that while I'm saying this, we'll at least have some sort of unifying definition to agree or disagree with. But when we talk about a group of vigilantes, the first thing we question is whether they have a well-calibrated sense of right and wrong. I think all too often that calibration comes down to whether we agree with them or not. And I think John sort of pointed this out. He said, I don't really think of Proud Boys or the KKK or whatever as vigilantes. He thinks of them as criminals. Now, as it turns out, John, I 100% agree with you. But they don't. They don't consider themselves vigilantes. They don't consider themselves criminals. My apologies.
Can I go ahead and read that definition you called
Everyone's
for?
a hero in their own story.
Let me read this definition that was called for. I don't actually know where it's from. I use Bing, and then I just type in a word, and then it pops up a definition. And so I'm just going to read it because it's usually pretty good. A member of a self-appointed group of citizens who undertake law enforcement in their community without legal authority, typically because the legal agencies are thought to be inadequate.
It's exactly the definition from Google, too. So to just put a bow on that, then, I am in favor of our ability to stand against injustice. John, I feel certain you and I are in lockstep there. Even when that becomes some sort of vigilante justice. Now, I'm not in favor of an entire society that provides justice on nothing but the basis of vigilante behavior, because if we all take the law into our own hands, what we don't have is a system of laws. So I'm loudly in favor of vigilantism, but I agree with Teddy that I don't think that vigilantes are very well calibrated sometimes. And so I think the question that we have to ask ourselves as a society is, how do we organize our society and our legal system with a capital S so that we need less vigilante justice? And in the meantime, yeah, we're going to have some.